Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hands-On. My name is Alana. I'm from the Innovation Cluster. For those of you who don't know what the Innovation Cluster is, we're a not-for-profit organization that supports startups working in innovation. We do so by offering advisory services, access to partners, and workshops such as this one. We encourage you to apply if you have an innovative idea or are working in technology, and you can apply at www.innovationcluster.ca. So today's session will be recorded and you're going to have access to that workshop at a later date. We will also have a Q&A after the presentation. So if you think of anything, please write it down and save it for the end. So nearing the end of the presentation, I will enable the chat and you can send your questions in then, and then I will facilitate the Q&A with Brendan. So again, welcome to Hands-On, must-have e-commerce tips for Black Friday with Brendan Quigley. Brendan is a Shopify partner who works with small to medium-sized businesses. With over 6 years of experience on online marketing, web development, and e-commerce, Brendan has an intuitive understanding of what makes a great online store. So today, some of the learning objectives are understanding what makes a good Black Friday or Cyber Monday sale, preparing and improving your online store to promote and sell on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, review common Shopify apps, and how to use email automation to promote your sales, and also understanding your shipping options. So I'm going to pass it over to Brendan now.
Hello, yes, can you hear me? Perfect. So, hello and welcome. I'm here today. We're going to talk about e-commerce, and most specifically, we're going to talk about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but really everything I talk about today can translate into your holiday promotions, your holiday sales, and anything that happens basically between now and Christmas. So if you want to get in touch with me, I'm on Twitter at @Quigley_Brendan or at my website at brendanquigley.ca. Here is an example of some of the brands that I've worked with. Some of them are local, some of them aren't. Some of them are on Shopify, some of them are on WordPress, and some of them are on totally different systems for e-commerce. Today we're going to go through a number of things. So here's the agenda as I have it. So we're going to figure out what a good Black Friday sale is, help you prepare and promote your Black Friday sale. We're going to go through some improvements that you can probably make to your online store and some common Shopify apps that will help that. And then I'm going to do a quick, it's a demo / show you what email automation can look like and what it can look like now and how you might be able to use that for your Black Friday sales. And then I'm going to break down some shipping options. And I like to include this almost every time I talk about e-commerce because I find it's the #1 roadblock that merchants have to starting their online store or expanding their online store. So I really like to go through some of those options, and then we'll open it up for questions because I'll surely have missed something. So first thing we're gonna cover here is what makes a good Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. And really what it comes down to is creating an irresistible offer. So we all know what a loss leader is. So you wanna pick one product and you wanna make the discount as large as possible. So there's a perception or an expectation on Black Friday that your sale is gonna be really, really big. And so you can't do that for everything, especially if you're a small to medium-sized business. You can't slash your prices by 50%, but you might be able to do it for one thing, a popular product that is your loss leader. And so one of the ways you can do this with your e-commerce is if you're promoting via your social media or an email list, consider focusing your promotion on one product. Once they're on your store, you can use things like shipping breaks or bundling to encourage a larger order value. So an example of this is free shipping above $100. Or if you buy this product, which is your loss leader, you get 25% or something off another. When you talk e-commerce, often we're talking about trying to increase your average order value. Another thing you can do for what makes a good Black Friday sale is knowing who you're going to sell to. So you can't start your promotion of your Black Friday sale on Black Friday. Actually, I've already started to see big box stores put out their pamphlets for their Black Friday sales and their holiday sales, letting people know like far ahead of time what's going on. And so this is something that you should consider too for yours. So once you sort of get that promotion in mind, okay, I'm going to sell that product, you need to start reaching out ahead of time. And one of the ways you can do this on your online store is you can create sort of a landing page on your site that will describe all of the sales that you're going to have for Black Friday, kind of like a pre-sale page without the ability to buy. And then you can leverage your existing audience. So that might be your email list, that might be your social media, that might be paid ads or advertisements that you put out to sort of direct people to, hey, look, this is our sort of e-flyer for the sales that we're coming up to. So you get that product, you get someone, you know, you collect your audience. The next thing that makes a really good Black Friday sale is having a good online store. So for the customer, your online store needs to be sort of an extension of your physical store. This can be a challenge if your physical store has a lot of products. You know, if you get thousands of SKUs, it's hard to keep track of them in your online store. But a customer wants to be able to see what's in stock and be able to order online. That's their expectation. I guess I would add to that expectation during COVID, people kind of want to like pre-shop if they're so they're not ordering online. They kind of want to know if you've got the product they're looking for or not, so that they can come in and sort of be efficient when they're in the store. It's a lot to get out these days, putting on a mask, going in, all that kind of stuff. So you want to try to make it as easy as possible. On the other side, a good online store is for you. So your online store needs to work for you, not create work for you. That means your fulfillment process, your order management, how you organize your products and how you communicate with the customer needs to be sort of as simple as possible, so that your online, especially if you're already managing a brick and mortar, your online store isn't getting in the way. You have a system for dealing with all that stuff. The next thing that your online store needs to be really good for Black Friday is reasonable shipping. And I mentioned at the beginning that shipping is one of the number one challenges that merchants have when starting an online store. It's because it's really hard to do reasonable shipping. Everybody's been conditioned by Amazon for free shipping. And if you just take your thing to the post office and get a quote, like it's going to be a lot of money. And in some cases, more than what the product's worth. So that is probably the most important thing when we talk about reasonable shipping, is that we want the product to not be less than the shipping. So if it's possible to offer cheaper or free shipping, that's great. But if you can't, what you need to try to do is look for those price breaks to offer the free shipping after a certain amount of money. So I'll go into more detail about shipping, but there's lots of different ways to try to make your shipping reasonable and basically make it not be an objection that the customer has when they get to the checkout. So I'll go over that in more detail when we get to the shipping spot, but that's the other thing. The next thing is the fulfillment, refund, and returnment plan or policy. So here's three questions that customers often have before they purchase online. They want to know when they're going to get their purchase. They want to know can or how would they get a refund, and they want to know can or how would they return their purchase. Again, unfortunately, Amazon's conditioned us for a very systematic method for this. To some points, even, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, you go to get a refund or return a product, and the Amazon just says keep it, which is very hard for a small business to sort of live up to that. So the most important thing on your store for all of these things is to have a really clear plan for how you're going to handle it and policy in place, so that customers, you set the expectation right at the beginning, and customers know what they're getting into. The other thing you want to make sure here is when orders increase around the holidays, you don't want to be going back and forth via email if there's a refund or if there's a fulfillment issue. So you want to really make sure that the process on your end with your staff, how you're going to deal with it, when you're going to deal with it, is sort of really laid out so that it doesn't create more work. Another thing that makes a really good Black Friday online store is a plan to convert these customers into regular customers. So the real return here is Black Friday gives you an opportunity to sort of throw your brand in front of people who maybe you weren't, like you didn't before. So having a plan in place, whether it's a marketing plan or a follow-up plan even, where you can sort of take those new customers that you got because of your Black Friday sale and then follow up with them afterwards to turn them into a regular customer is very important. Otherwise, what was the point of discounting that product by so much if it was a loss leader? So one of the ways you can do this, right, is you can send out an email automatically after their purchase to give them a % off their next purchase. So you know they bought during your Black Friday discount. So you're going to send an email out saying, okay, here's a 10% coupon off of the next purchase. And the goal is to try to get them to come back for return. Some other considerations, just this is back to making your store, making the online store good and how to make a good Black Friday sale is translations and accessibility. We're in Canada, there's a bilingual country, there's an entire province and then areas of other provinces that just operate in French. So having your store translate into French properly means that when they're searching in French for your product, your store will come up in French. It sounds like it's a complicated thing, but there's some pretty slick apps now that do a fairly good job. I work with one customer in Montreal, and they use an app to automatically translate the website. And I would say they've probably manually corrected about 5% of the translations. So it can be expensive depending on how many words are on your site, but it definitely opens up like a whole province of opportunity in Canada. The other thing is accessibility. It's not as a big thing here in Canada, but in the US, accessibility is turning into a much more important thing. And I guess I would just urge anybody, if you're building a new online store, if you have an existing online store, ask the accessibility question of your developer and see what you can do to make your site better accessible for people with screen readers. Again, it's a large demographic of potential customers that you could tap into if your store was accessible. So next thing I want to talk about then is preparing and how to prepare for your sale. So we kind of talked about, making an irresistible offer, getting your site ready and all those kinds of things. So how would you prepare to do this? And so I've got a little list here of things you can do now to prepare for the sale. The first one I put down is Google Analytics. And we'll talk about all these in detail. It doesn't necessarily prepare you specifically, but it helps you prepare. Then include an email opt-in, ad tracking, simplify your navigation, live chat, and then objection busters. So we'll go through each one of these now. So if you have an online store, you're probably already using Google Analytics, and that's fantastic. This is something you can go set up now for free on your online store. And all it does is track visitors to your site. The benefit is knowing how much traffic you're getting to your site, which cities they're coming from. You can even find out information like what devices they're using. And if Google Analytics is set up correctly with a platform like Shopify, you can even see like how much those sessions converted and how much they purchased. So it can be a really powerful tool if configured properly. The next thing for preparing is include an email opt-in on your site. And so if you're not using email, I would encourage you to, and there really are two main ways to get your customers' email. So the first one is when they purchase something from you. And the second one is if they give it to you. Obviously, the second one is a far better way. And I know we don't like spam, but email is still one of the largest and most sort of powerful tools for marketing your online store. And I would say when a customer gives you their email, like if you don't email them back about business or upcoming sales or whatever, you're sort of failing to meet their expectations. If I give my email to someone saying, let me know when the next deal happens, and the deal happens and you don't email them, then I'm going to be upset with you. I expected to get the email. I expected to sort of get that VIP content. And so again, including an email opt-in is something you can do on your site right now to start collecting emails from your existing clientele so that you have an email list to leverage when you're putting out your emails promoting Black Friday, or even on the day, reminding people that your Black Friday sale is live. Another thing you can do right now is include ad tracking. So we've all got this experience. You're on Facebook, you see something you like, you click on it, you go to their website, you're not interested in right now. And then for the next 2 weeks, you see nothing but that bag or that watch or those pairs of shoes that you clicked on. And so this is an example of ad tracking. Basically, oh, gotta go back there. Facebook gives you a little code that you can put on your site that whenever someone visits your site, they get added to like a Facebook list, and then Facebook lets you retarget that list. This is super valuable, and you can picture it now. If you had this ad tracking, or if you install this ad tracking now, and you get all these, potential customers to your site, then you can target warm leads, people who already know about your brand, and let them know about the Black Friday sale that you're having. And then after Black Friday, you can target the same warm leads to let them know about your holiday sale. So including ad tracking now on your website is something that you can do to help with your paid ads going forward. The next thing that you can do right now is start to think about your navigation. So navigation is probably one of the most difficult things to get right on your online store or on your website in general. And it's simply because different people look for things differently. So one person might go to the search and type in the thing. One person might try to find the category for the product they're looking for. Maybe someone goes to the footer expecting to see something down there. Maybe someone clicks on the nice image of the product you have that's right on the page. So people access information differently, and it's okay to link to the same place on your site from multiple different places, because you're just facilitating these different people. So I think your navigation, I can't say, well, everybody should have a category drop down, or everybody should include this, that, or the other, because it really depends on your store. So off the hop, I would say including a search bar on your website that works is super important, especially if you've got more than, I'm going to say, 10 or 20 products. That way, those people who search can search in. And if someone emails you saying, I'm looking for something or other, you can do the search and send them that saved search. I would also say direct links to different collections is really important. And when I say collections, I mean categories. They're interchangeable. So if you have a Black Friday sale, don't hide it. Put it all in one collection, and then link to it from more than one place, on the page, in the menu, in your email, that kind of thing. So a lot of people can find it. And then within the collection, you should have sort of as many filters as you can logically put in. So if it's colors, if it's sizes, if it's types, if it's vendor, make sure that once someone's looking at sort of the collection they're looking for, they can narrow it down. And again, Amazon does a good job of this. If you look on their left-hand side, they've got like every filter you could possibly imagine. And that's just because they've got so many products. So that's something that you can start to build into your site now that will help on your Black Friday sale. The next one's kind of interesting. The Shopify partners that I follow and deal with, they go back and forth on live chat, whether to have it, whether not to have it. I really think that live chat helps you communicate with your client or customer when they want to be communicated with. And I think when I say live chat, people go, oh, well, then I have to monitor, yet another thing. So I've got an app that I'm going to talk about later called Shopify Chat that actually tries to solve this issue by pulling together a bunch of really common places where you're going to get messages, for example, Facebook. And I think the live chat is super beneficial. And remember too, you can often control which page the live chat shows up on. And so if you were to go to my site, the live chat only appears on the pricing page. Because that's the page that if someone had a question, I want them to be able to reach me. So that's just an example of something else that can help a lot on your site. And do what I call bust the objection. So objection busters is something talked about in the industry. The idea is it's a solution to the problem your customer might have with your product right there on the product page. So often product copy, website copy, it focuses on the features of the product and it focuses on how awesome it is and look at all the things it can do. Where the customer, when they look at your product, really what they're thinking about is that one thing that's preventing them from purchasing it. And that's the objection. And so live chat, like I mentioned before, is a way that they can ask you their objection right away and bust the objection. Another way to put objection busters on your website is to have an FAQ, so people can search up the question that they have and maybe get it answered. But really the best way is to like sort of make your copy the list of all the objections you've heard people say about your product. Even ask people why they didn't buy your product and answer those objections front and foremost. Unfortunately, shipping is often one of those things that raises a big objection. You know, they get the product in the cart, they get all the way to the checkout, and they go, oh, shoot, it's going to be twice as much with shipping. So we'll touch on that in a little bit too. So the other thing, unfortunately, with websites is the technical considerations. Depending on your website, it could crash if you've got a spike of traffic. And unfortunately, like even 10 consecutive customers could cause issues on your website, depending on your platform and where it's hosted and all that kind of stuff. So another thing you can do now to prepare for the holiday season and to prepare for the increased traffic that COVID causes in general is you can like reach out to your platform or hosting company and like ask them, like, how do you handle these spikes? If you're on a self-hosted solution, which is basically you've purchased the resources in the host and you've installed the platform, you want to test it somehow, contact the hosting company, see what they're doing, and then consider upgrading your hosting. If you're on Shopify, they do a fantastic job of surge, protecting you from surges in traffic. They've got a very sophisticated method. However, you can still optimize your theme for speed to ensure that the potential customer, it might just be a slow internet connection and an unoptimized theme, but to the customer, it looks like your site's not loading. So you can still do things on Shopify to improve that. And then if you're on another platform, another hosted solution, reach out to that platform and double check to see what it is that they do. So next, I want to talk about some super awesome Shopify apps. A number of the apps I'm talking about are free and made by Shopify. Some of them cost money, but really the ones that cost money you're only going to use if you have that specific need. So let's just dive right in. So these are the apps I want to talk about. Klaviyo being the email marketing app, I'll skip that one for now and demo it later. InstaFeed for Instagram, Shopify Chat that I mentioned before, Better Shipping for some advanced rules, geolocation, digital downloads, and bundles. So these are some common apps that I end up installing on a lot of different stores when I'm building out new stores because they provide some additional functionality that's not built into the core of Shopify. And interestingly enough, some of them are made by Shopify. And that's the way they package some of the additional functionality so that it doesn't like bloat the core and make the core Shopify slower. So the first one, I probably install this one on every single site because it's free and it's super easy. It's called InstaFeed. Here's an example of my Instagram feed. It's just a screenshot, and here's a screenshot of the app. It basically lets you click the button, connect to your Instagram, and then using a little snippet of code, you can place your Instagram feed almost anywhere on your theme or on your homepage. The benefits of this is just to sort of start to automate your things. You've got your social media, you've got your website, and to make sure that the efforts that you're putting in over on Instagram show up on your website and vice versa. So super easy, free, definitely something you should do. Better shipping. So this app here is super interesting. The Shopify shipping that's built in is quite sophisticated. The challenge is that shipping is just a complex situation, regardless of who and what you're doing. So there's a number of apps out there that enhance the shipping options for Shopify. So one of them is Better Shipping. And this lets you create like extremely complex shipping rules down to the like limiting your products based on postal code. So only these products can ship to that postal code. Only those products can ship here, this, that, and the other. And the best example I can give you is a client of mine. They do subscription smoothies. And these smoothies are fresh ingredients and they ship on dry ice, which means they can only ship to specific places that their carrier will let them ship. And so they use Better Shipping to basically say, ship only to these postal codes in the GTA and into the Montreal greater area, or the greater Montreal area. And then that way, no one can purchase a smoothie subscription if they don't live in one of those areas, if their shipping address isn't one of those areas. But Better Shipping can go even detailed, add like per item, per quantity shipping prices. And you can even exclude, you can say, I'll ship all of these products to any of those postal codes, except if those products are in there. And if those products are in there, give them this shipping rate because it's a heavy product or this, that, and the other. So it's just an example of, I'm trying to bust your objections as merchants for ways around your specific and complex shipping. We just have to find it. The next one's geolocation. So this is a Shopify made app. The name's kind of weird. The purpose of this is if you want to sell in multiple currencies. So if you wanted to sell to in US currency or in euros or something, geolocation would create this little pop-up you see in the screenshot. There. And basically based on the location of the person visiting your site, they would go, oh, you look like you're in Canada. Do you want to change the currency to Canadian? Or you look like you're in the US. So it's a free app. Multiple currencies is built into the Shopify payment method. It's a great way to expand your store and to start to promote it, internationally. This is another Shopify app, digital downloads. And a lot more Shopify stores from COVID have started to do digital downloads, whether it's a print or whether it's an image or whether it's a song or an album. I'm seeing this feature built out more. So that's great if you're a merchant who sells an item that can be digitally downloaded. But I guess I wanted to put this in here in case you have like instructions for any of the products that you sell, or like even like a warranty slip or anything that might have been a piece of paper in the store. You could make a digital download and have it delivered to them to their email when they make that purchase, and then the product would come later. So I think it's a super powerful option and something that could be taken advantage of. The second last app I want to talk about is bundles. So this is something that I hear about a lot, and this is something that you could consider for your Black Friday sale. And I say that because instead of maybe making one product, the sale product, you could maybe make a bundle of products, the sale product. And then the combined profit margin from that would let you give it a perceived big discount. So an app like Bundles basically lets you say, let's say I've got, an apple and a banana and I sell them separately, but I also want to sell them together. An app like Bundles will keep your inventory in sync. So you can say the bundled app takes one apple and one banana. So anytime someone buys a banana, it'll update the inventory of the bundle. And anytime someone buys the bundle, it'll update the inventory of the single products. And again, this is making your site work for you. You can set up all the individual items and then set up all the bundle items. And then it doesn't matter what gets purchased, the inventory will stay in sync and you'll be able to order back what you need. The last app I want to touch on, there's many, many more, but it's called Junip, and it's actually a Canadian company, and it's a review app. So there's lots of review apps out there for Shopify that let customers who've purchased things put reviews on products. One of the best things about Junip is that they're very good at not only collecting and displaying the reviews on your products throughout your store, but they're really good at going out and getting those. They have like a whole system for getting the reviews, and that is through sort of follow-up emails after people purchase. I don't know about you, but I'm willing to trust the, anonymous review of someone on Amazon before I trust the product itself. It's such a weird thing that we're willing to do. But it's apps like Junip, and there's others that can facilitate that. And again, make this more of a, you just have to approve the reviews instead of having to like manually go out and get them or encourage people to leave them. So those are only some of the apps that are on the Shopify App Store. There are hundreds and hundreds. The good news is that all the apps that are on the App Store are reviewed by Shopify. So there's very few like duds or bad apps. And that's because they go through sort of a rigorous review process. There will be apps that don't do what you need, and there will be apps that do what you need, but maybe aren't the best. So it's always good to do a little research and compare. But if you've got a function or feature for your site that you want to include, there is probably an app that will help you achieve it. Email automation. Okay, this for me, this is the super fun part, but this is the bit where I leave the presentation and start to click around and sort of show you a little bit more about email automation. So the app I'm going to talk about is Klaviyo. The like history of Klaviyo is that Shopify used to have an extremely close integration with MailChimp, but then MailChimp started doing more CRM and online sales stuff, and then Shopify started doing more email stuff. So that integration kind of got pulled apart, leaving room for sort of another app to come in. And so enter Klaviyo. It's one of the most probably recognized email apps in the Shopify ecosystem. And pretty much every partner I've ever listened to, whether it be on a podcast or in person, talks about Klaviyo. And that's because of its advanced integration with Shopify. And it also operates a little different than email apps. So we're kind of used to email apps at this point. You collect emails, you put them on a list, and then you can email that list. Klaviyo operates a little bit more like a customer relationship management system, so a CRM. So instead of being list-based, Klaviyo is profile-based, which means it's completely possible to have 100 people in your Klaviyo account, but for them not to be on any list, depending on how they've subscribed or how they've signed up. And then you get to play with those profiles and segment them based on their past order history or any actions that they've done or any of the data that you've kind of pulled in to Klaviyo. So if I just pop out here, I want to show you, I think, about 4 different things you can do inside of Klaviyo. That's email automation that you can start doing now that will help you promote your Black Friday sale, but also, again, back to this automation piece, sort of like get out of your way. So the first one I want to talk about is the welcome series. So I'm just going to drop in. This is, I made a development store and I set up a development Klaviyo. I put a bunch of orders through. So all this, everything you're seeing here is sort of fake data. This isn't a client's account or anything. And when you land in to Klaviyo, you're going to see it's giving me a bunch of recommendations, but I want to show you the lists and segment area. So lists are, as you would understand them, lists in MailChimp or a list of emails and people that have signed up. Segments are you, so I'm looking at this welcome segment series. It's you saying, okay, I want all the people who've ordered a product at least once over all time, or they have an email is set, and a person who is not suppressed. So they haven't said, I don't want to receive emails. So a segment is just like a cross-section of all the different customers you have. If I click down into profiles, you'll see that here's all my fake clients. These people don't have to be on one of those lists and segments, but all the data that's in here is data of actions that they've taken on the website. And you can see things like, the revenue, how many orders they've placed, if they've refunded an order, all that kind of stuff gets pulled in here. So you get a really clear picture of what your customers are doing. So if I go back to the flows, we've got your CRM full of your customers. Your CRM has the data that your customers have given by either their purchases on their website or when they signed up and all that kind of stuff. What we can do is we can create what we call flows or automations in Klaviyo. And the three or the four that I want to talk about is the welcome series, the abandoned cart emails, the win back opportunities, and then the Black Friday series. So if I go into the welcome series flow, it's very visual. It's very neat to see. What I have in here is a trigger. I say when someone joins the welcome series, and we just looked at that. The welcome series segment is people who've made an order in the past, whenever. What this flow lets me do is it lets me send them an email saying, hey, thanks for signing up. It lets me say, okay, wait 3 days, send a follow-up email. Hey, follow us on social. We've got social media. Wait 4 days, and then send a check out our bestsellers. So this would be sort of your standard welcome series. This idea of when someone signs up with you, they give you their email, they say, hey, I want to be on the marketing list, that you're going to say, hey, thanks for signing up. You're going to say, we're also on social and check out our bestsellers. You even have the option in Klaviyo of sending them a one-time use coupon code for 10% off to, again, try to get them back into the store to purchase something. Welcome series, what they do is they keep your customers engaged. I don't know if you've ever signed up for an email list and then received nothing. You don't even know if you actually signed up. You just kind of join and then it disappeared. A welcome series lets you put that personal touch on saying, hey, we really appreciate that you signed up for our emails, and we're going to keep you engaged. The other one that is a super awesome, high converting automated flow that you can do through Klaviyo is the abandoned cart. So before I click into the flow, we've all had the abandoned cart situation where we've gone to a website, we've added things to the cart, shoot, the shipping was too much, and so we left it. And then you get a little email later on that says, hey, you left something in your cart. So those emails, you can automate those emails from Shopify itself. Shopify does have a built-in abandoned cart email. The difference with Shopify and Klaviyo is Shopify sends one email at a certain time frame after the cart has been abandoned. With Klaviyo, we're able to really build out that to be almost like an abandoned cart series. So in this series, we have when someone starts a checkout as the trigger, you wait 4 hours. And what that means is if they've just started, but they haven't made an order or made a purchase, after 4 hours, they'll get an email that says, hey, it looks like you left something behind. And that email will have a link back to the cart. Then you can have it trigger, say, wait 20 hours. And you can say, look, your cart's about to expire. Like we still have it saved, but it's going to disappear. So if you want access, click on it now. You can extend the abandoned cart further. You could say, wait a day, or you could even in this, your cart's about to expire. You could put that one-time use coupon code to say, hey, here's 10% off the order, or you can build this out a little further to include other messaging. Something that's not in these flows is you also have conditional options where you can split conditionally based on the actions that the customers have taken in a previous email. So similar to the welcome series and the abandoned cart series, another one is the win back opportunities. So there's a concept with email lists called, email list hygiene. This idea that you're not going to just keep sending emails to the same people over and over and over again. You want to make sure that your email list is regularly cleaned. And so one of the ways you can do this is you can set up a customer win back email. And then based on the interaction that customers have with that win back email, you can sort of put them in their own segment and you can sort of stop emailing them so that you're not sort of hurting your domain's reputation by constantly emailing people who don't open your emails. But then also you keep your conversions high. And in applications like Klaviyo, if someone's not opening your email, it costs you money to keep the certain number of customers on your list. You can delete customers who never interact and save you a little bit of money. So the customer win back, it looks like this. You can say, when someone places an order, you can wait 75 days. And then you can send them the first email to say, hey, it's been a while since you ordered from us. Again, maybe there's a discount code in here to try to encourage them. And then wait an additional 15 days if they don't interact with you, and you can send them a second email. The other win back scenario I have here is an A/B test using a conditional, which lets you test how long you should wait before you send that win back email if they haven't made a purchase. And so here's an example. So we're going to test 60 days and 75 days. So we're just going to do a conditional split random sample of 50 people, and you're going to send them the same email. The only difference is that initial time is different. And what's awesome with Klaviyo, with the integration it has, it'll actually tell you how much money you made off that email. So again, I've got some customers who they send out their weekly email, and they can see that each of those emails make them, $1,000 every time they send it out. And what that means is someone is clicking from the email through to the store and making a purchase. So those are sort of like, if I was setting up basic email automation for a new store, those would be the three flows I would set up. I would set up a welcome series to say hi to new people. I would set up an abandoned cart to catch anybody who left a cart behind. And then I would set up a win back to sort of make sure we're cleaning up, but also not forgetting about customers who purchased from us a while ago. For Black Friday, what you can do is you can set up your own series, your own email, your own segment that basically you can pre-make your emails that you're going to send out when someone joins the email, like a welcome series, or you can set it to set up on a day where it's like, okay, so 2 weeks before Black Friday, we're sending this email, 1 week this email, 2 days, we're sending this email, and then on the day, we're going to send an email. And I've heard lots of stores doing this, like 1 in the morning to remind them, and then 1 in the evening to say, look, the sale's ending at 12 midnight, or whenever the sale's ending. Maybe it's a sale you do to Cyber Monday. So Klaviyo has you covered. You're able to set up your trigger and then put in your delays, customize your emails, and go from there. Super powerful email automation that really lets you sort of set and forget some of these things while maintaining the personal conversation between you and your customer. So I would like to pop back in here. And we're going to move on to the dreaded shipping problem. Like I said at the beginning, this is something I like to include on anytime I talk about Shopify, because I find it's the thing that most people get hung up on. I also find it's the most complicated thing to talk about, so I apologize ahead of time. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible, but please ask me questions about shipping in the question and answer. So the place to start is like, what's the goal of shipping? And really, it's just to deliver the product to your customer quickly and affordably. And there's a number of different potential shipping strategies. Oh, I didn't put these in order. I'm going to start at local pickup and delivery. So one of the upsides of the COVID pandemic, it has made curbside pickup, porch drop off common, and even preferred. And so I think there's a real strength to it. And one of the things Shopify did right away when the pandemic happened is they focused on making these two options super easy. So what you're seeing in the image on the right is a screenshot of a website that's offering local delivery through Shopify next to their flat rate $5 shipping. And so the local delivery, when it's selected, it prompts them for their phone number and any additional instructions, so that if you're headed out after work, you've closed the store, you're going to drop something off, you have their number if something goes wrong, and you know that it's the second door on the garden path. So I would encourage anybody who's got a brick and mortar store and a Shopify site to just go and enable these and test it. Don't even think too much about it. They're set up quite well. You can even set your local delivery to be like a radius of the stores that you'll only drive within. It'll only show up as an option if you're like within 10 kilometers of the store, but super helpful. And these things here let you and your customers save money because there's no shipping involved. So the next one I want to talk about is carrier calculated shipping, or basically when it calculates the shipping during checkout. So this is the one that people are most familiar with. Again, Amazon does this in their cart. You can get your free Prime shipping. You can get your, I think if it's over $25, or you can use one of the other calculated shippings. If you didn't have Prime, it would just show you the calculated options. So Canada Post provides calculated shipping within Shopify. And this does require you to have the weight of your product put in, or at least estimated in, and the size of your default box. And this is the part that gets most confusing. So I've got 3 boxes on the right. That's, box size 1, box size 2, box size 3. Let's say you've got a product, you've got a number of different products, and one of them, product A fits in box 1, product B fits in box 2. If you were putting a default box size, product B fits in box 3. If you were going to put a default box size, and when I say default box, that's the size of the box plus the weight that Canada Post uses to calculate the shipping that the customer sees, you would want to average those 2 box sizes and choose something in the middle. This way, you might lose a little bit of shipping when you're shipping product A, when you're shipping product B in the bigger box, but you'll gain a little bit of shipping when you're shipping product A in box 1. And it's a funny little system, unless you meticulously track all your weights and sizes and boxes and this, that, and the other, it's very hard to get the accurate calculated shipping. With that said, when you go to print a shipping label from within Shopify, it doesn't print based on your default box size. It prints based on the box you selected. So if someone has bought product B, they've gone to the checkout, and it's using box 2 as the calculation. Maybe you're able to fit it into box 2. Maybe you're able to fit it into box 3. Whichever box you put it in, the shipping label will be printed for that box. So sometimes you lose a little bit, but sometimes you gain a little bit. I'm sorry, I've tried to give that little spiel a couple times now, and it never gets easier to give. So please ask me questions. Another shipping option is free shipping, but how do you do that? So in short, the profit margin on your product needs to cover the shipping cost. So if you don't have a physical store, this happens a lot, you can simply raise the prices of your products to cover the shipping. I've even seen online stores go the other way, and it seems very gimmicky, where the product is so cheap, they just make you pay shipping. They say it's free, but you have to pay shipping. But usually it's the other way around, where you raise your products by 10-20% to cover the shipping cost. The challenge is when you do have a physical store, you can't do that. You can't raise the prices on your online store but keep them lower in your physical store. They kind of have to be the same price, or customers are going to get upset. So in these cases, I would encourage like the free over X dollars. So look at your margins of your products, the average margins, figure out, how much money do I need off the average order in order to make my shipping free? And if you can make that work financially, then free shipping is definitely the preferred way to go. The other way, which I think is excellent for online stores, is flat rate. So sort of a combination between, that most of your products have a certain margin. So you're going to tag on sort of a flat rate shipping to sort of make sure that you don't lose out and that you're still making profit. The benefits of flat shipping is that customers know exactly what to expect. There's no surprise when they get to checkout. They knew it was going to be $10 before they got there. And remember too, whenever you're doing any of these things, you can always reach out to the customer and say, hey, sorry, when you checked out, like, we didn't realize you were in, name the remote place that they were. And we aren't able to ship to you, and you can refund the money. Or you can say it's going to cost an extra, $5 to get it to you. Often people who live in those areas have had that experience before and are expecting it. It's not that they choose to live there. They're not going to get angry that you reached out to them and communicated with them. So There's also complex options. We touched on it a little bit with better shipping and my example of, shipping to specific postal codes. This, yeah, you don't always need to automate the complex option. I've totally done it before where I've made shipping options for specific areas and customers will self-select their area. And again, this is one of those situations where you're not putting out the money for the expensive app. You've just got, look, if you're in Peterborough, this is your shipping. If you're outside of Peterborough, you're in this shipping. You know what I mean? And if someone selects the wrong one, you can communicate with your customer and figure out what the right thing is. So while complex options can be extremely complex and there's lots of apps out there to help you deal with them, I would encourage you to try to simplify this process as much as possible. And customers are very good at self-selecting. So I am happy to say that I managed to get through that. And I'd love to open it up for questions because I'm sure there are some questions out there.
All right, so the chat is live. So if you guys have any questions, please just throw it into the chat. I do want to remind you now that it is being recorded. So if you guys want to go back and look at anything, you can do so.
Let's do that there. I'll pull up chat. I'm curious if there's what platforms people are using. I talked a lot about Shopify. I deal on a regular basis with Shopify, but I've also done a lot of work with WooCommerce. And so I'm curious what platforms people are using for their online store, or if they're considering starting an online store. That's another unique place to be. GoDaddy. That's right, because they have an e-commerce. I haven't personally used it, but they have an e-commerce option. Do you have many products in GoDaddy? One of the reasons I often upsell Shopify over another platform is that their product management is amazing. Being able to add variants and options and sorting and all that kind of stuff.
All right, so questions are starting to roll in. So let's start with the first one from Donna. Can you explain why you would get higher conversations with embedding your IG feed into your website?
Yeah, so the conversion, there's nothing about embedding your Instagram on your website that would necessarily increase your conversions other than making sure that your page constantly has new information. However, there is a sales channel in Shopify that lets you connect your Shopify store to Facebook and Instagram, which lets you sell, make shoppable posts. And that would give you another option for selling via Instagram posts. So I would say that would increase your conversions, but not actually embedding in the site.
Okay, and another question is, wondering what the price difference might be between MailChimp and the other option that you had suggested.
So yeah, so Klaviyo, I think is how it's pronounced. Sometimes people pronounce it Klaviyo. Klaviyo is expensive. I think it's like, oh, you'll have to go to their pricing page, but it's like $30 for 1,000 people on your list. Klaviyo does have a free tier, and I believe it's like 2 emails to 500 customers per month, which is far lower than MailChimp's. So I think MailChimp's pricing, if I understand correctly, is cheaper than Klaviyo's. But MailChimp, they're working on it. I actually saw some emails today about it. They're working on having better automation and better integrations to platforms like Shopify. But Klaviyo's integration with Shopify is like amazing. So if you're not necessarily on Shopify, you're on MailChimp, it's a great option still. It's not a bad option, and they do have automation.
Okay, another question from Talia. She isn't sure that if you covered this or not, but can you talk about Shopify drop shipping and the best way to source Canadian-based manufacturers?
Ooh, I don't have much experience sourcing manufacturers. A little while back, I'm going to say maybe a year ago, Shopify purchased a really popular Shopify app called Orbolo. And Orbolo's claim to fame was like it automated the whole drop shipping process. I think the challenge with apps like Orbolo is that it used like AliExpress and some of these Chinese-based manufacturers. So AliExpress would be like the Amazon or eBay of manufacturers, and you can buy almost anything, but it's really hard to know the quality of the goods. So, and Orbolo, I'm seeing it in the chat there, Orbolo doesn't have Canadian manufacturers. So, I mean, drop shipping's hard because you have to find the right person. It's not a big manufacturer because they don't want to be bothered with your shipping. And it's not a tiny manufacturer because you want them to be sophisticated enough to integrate. So what I have seen, I'm not sure if you're talking about products or if you're talking about t-shirts and stuff like that, but I've seen some print shops in BC basically say, hey, look, set us up with, they don't need access to your Shopify, but they need access to your notifications. Every time an order's made, they will receive your order and then make that product and ship it on your behalf and then let you know that it's shipped. So it's not quite an interaction, like it's not quite an integration, but it's definitely like something you can look for when you find Canadian manufacturers. It is a hard one when you're talking about drop shipping.
Okay, the next one is from Brooke. Any advice for Shopify stores with products that have different shipping restrictions, such as 5 products, but only 1 is available in Ontario and the rest are national?
So that's where apps like Better Shipping really thrive. Because you set it up, if that one product is in the cart, it only sees the shipping options for the areas that it ships. So Better Shipping's got a lot more than you need for that. There are shipping profiles in Shopify as well that you can select a particular product and give it specific shipping. You might be able to achieve that with the shipping profiles. You may not have to use an app. The most important thing I would say is like whatever template you're using for the product page for that one product, make it like super clear on that product that this is only available in Ontario. Like the best thing you can do is communicate early in the customer's buyer's journey on your website so they don't get to the checkout page and go, wait, why can't I ship? You want to make sure you let them know before they get there. But look into shipping profiles or an app like Better Shipping to handle that.
Okay. The next question is, we're currently using Shopify email. Any thoughts on it and how to best utilize it?
So that's exciting to hear. It's great to hear people using Shopify email. I've only seen one client using it, and it's because it's like super new. So I have very little experience with it. And I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think it has the same level of automation that Klaviyo has, but it certainly has the integration with Shopify. So I would have to take a closer look. I'd be happy to take a closer look at it to see what it's like. But as of right now, it's like it's not the talk of the email town for Shopify sites. I'll put it that way.
Okay, so a follow-up from Talia. So it doesn't have Canadian manufacturers. Approximately how much do you spend on Facebook marketing per month? So maybe just more of an opinion.
Yeah, that's an opinion. So I am not a ad marketer, and I know that they will say it all depends on what you're selling and where you're going. And in terms of money, there will be a critical mass. Like there'll be a point at which you really start to see like way better results than before. So if that's 100, if that's 200, if that's $300 a month, you'll see. So what I hear from the marketers I work with is like absolute bare minimum 500 a month in order to like get results. But what I would say is if you can commit more than that to a month or two, look for where it starts to do better, like test that, and find a marketer who's willing to work with you to like figure out where it's at. Because there will be a spot where it's like, if you spend 500, you get this result. If you spend 7, it's 10 times the result. And it's just because you like reach a little bit of a critical mass with your advertising.
Okay. And if you are working in innovation or technology, if you were to become a client of the innovation cluster, you have access to our marketing manager, so you can pick her brain and she can help you out with stuff like that. The next question is from Richard. On Shopify, is there a way to get express checkout options like Apple Pay to work with local delivery and curbside pickup?
I am going to say not easily. I don't, so the curbside pickup and local delivery are relatively new. And so the reason I'm going to say not easily, I think maybe Shop Pay, you could do it because that's Shopify's built-in express checkout. But because you need to pass along like the phone number and the details like you saw in the screenshot, there may not be a way to make the express checkout work. But I'd be super curious how close you could get. It might be just a matter of an account. So I don't know. This isn't a good answer. I would love to look into that.
Okay, so there's 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up so everybody can get back to work. So what are your thoughts on Digital Main Street Shop Here powered by Google?
I think it's pretty good because they do the Shopify sites, correct? I don't know. Who knows? I think they're building Shopify sites powered by Google, but through Shop Here. Yeah. So they're going to be a Shopify site is a Shopify site is a Shopify site. You know, they're all built on the same core. There's no way to like install Shopify on your own host. And so Shopify is a hosted solution. So, I mean, that Digital Main Street program has been very good I've worked with a number of businesses that have and it is definitely, if you have an option to use it, definitely take a look.
Okay, so this is going to be our last question, but just before I ask it, I did just drop Brendan's email if everybody wants to copy it or write it down if you have any questions for him after the workshop. Again, it's recorded, so you guys will have access to all this information. So the last question is, what is your tip on having attractive, eye-catching product descriptions?
I'm not a great copywriter either, but I guess what I would say, the ones that I like myself are the ones that are really speaking to the persona of the person who's buying that product. The one that everybody talks about is Chubbies. I guess they make shorts down in the States. You can buy shorts from them. They know their audience. They know their market. They know the personas of the people who are buying from them. And so everything they write is targeted to that client. So I would, stay away from as much as possible just listing the features of your product, and instead talk about your product in the voice of the person you're trying to sell to. And then I think it's chubbies.com. I'd have to check. And then bust the objections, like hit the objections. Like if you know that everyone is always like, yeah, but your product is so much more blue than the competitors, be like, we know our product's bluer than the competitors, but this is why. And it lets you build a relationship with your customer, particularly your niche customer who spends money, but then it also helps you bust those objections.
All right. So again, I put Brendan's email into the chat. If you have any follow-up questions, you can also just email admin@Innovation Cluster and I will get that to him. So again, thank you so much for everybody joining us today. Thank you, Brendan, for facilitating. And hopefully we will see you all at our next event. So thanks, everybody.